Welcome everybody to the podcast. My name is Byron Dempsey and I'm joined by Brent Sanders.
I speak often to around about 1,000 students a week in different schools, also universities. We cover areas of talking about consent, what consent is. We talk about, awful sexual crimes like rape. We talk about sexual assault.
Numbers are just unbelievable. For young women specifically.
15 to 21 in Australia has always been recognised with major studies as a high-risk age group for young women to be targeted for a sexual offence. Well, this person's saying no to what I'm doing at the moment, but if I keep applying pressure, they might stop saying no, and that's consent. Well, it's not. Consent is when a person gives their permission or changes their mind freely. Freely. That's the key word to consent. There's three basic pillars to consent under law. Did the person give their permission or change their mind freely? Then we look at age of consent, and we can chat about that. And then we look at the effects of drugs or alcohol.
And everything we need to know when it comes to age involved with sexual crimes.
Once you hit 16, you're a sexual adult. Technically, you can't engage in intimate exchange with somebody under 16. But as we go back to our examples, the closer those ages are, the less likely it is that the police would take action. And just communicate. Just say, hey, you cool with this? Are you okay with this? Just ask. It's a simple thing to do. Now,
so you're replacing assumption with confirmation.
Exactly.
Very
via
simple.
Communication.
Yeah. Sex is this, therefore sexual assault must be this.
Yeah.
It's not the case.
Most young people I speak to who have been subjected to sexual intercourse without consent have been told by well-meaning friends that they haven't been. This is what you'll hear from a detective. For that young man to have sexual intercourse with that young woman, he would have to only penetrate her to a sexual area with anything at all.
Massive
Look at
difference.
the difference between that and how most people define sexual intercourse, which is biological. He's committed, that we know of, 7 of these indecent assaults against these girls. Each one carries New South Wales 5 years. That's 35 years worth of offences. And up until my talk, he would have probably gone, what's the big deal? It's just a laugh.
Yeah. That's a key word, isn't it? Just a laugh.
It's just a laugh. Now, what if somebody pressures me into having to send them nudes?
Yeah.
This is also a criminal offence.
But now we want to talk about the consequences of these crimes, because they're very serious crimes and they have very serious consequences.
Sexual intercourse without consent, if you're found guilty, you can go to prison for up to 14 years. If you're over 18, you'd be looking at a standard non-parole period of 7 minimum. There is a percentage of sexual crimes that could be eliminated by more young men, in particular, who are usually the ones committing this crime, having this knowledge.
I agree. 100%.
It doesn't mean that without the knowledge, you're not responsible for your actions. You are. Now, people can get hold of my book. People can go online. But I think podcasts, particularly for the age group that I speak to, is a very accessible way to access this information and promote that discussion. If there's any queries, any discussion that comes out of this, I think that's only going to be a good thing. And the podcasts that we've put together in this particular series are going to really cover a lot of very important information.